Hey guys, David Belmont from Tech on Target. Real quick, I'm going to go over just a couple of tips on proper grip on a firearm. So in this case, I'm using a Canik TP9 SF Elite. It's currently all configured for right hand, which is basically just swapping the mag release over to the left hand side of the gun. So I'm going to go ahead and demo this right-handed. So first and foremost, let's just go over some quick safety. We always want to make sure that the firearm's unloaded. So step number one is to remove the magazine, which I don't currently have one inserted. And then step number two, I usually like to do this 2 or 3 times. It's just a rack. So you're going to go ahead and grip the firearm like this, in between the meat of the palm of your hand and then the tips of your fingers. You'll see there'll be a little bit of gap in the top right there when you do it. Then just go ahead and make sure you're pointed in a safe direction. There's nothing on the other side of this wall. So I'm just going to grab that, pull it in tight to my body, and pull and push at the same time. So it's just going to be 1, 2, 3. Now in order to get the slide to lock back, I have the slide lock here. So if you look at the slide lock that's running along the side of the firearm there, this specific model happens to have it on both sides. We can go ahead and see what that looks like. So you'll just want to go ahead and press your thumb up into the slide lock as you do that. And so as you press up, you're going to do that rack again, and the slide is going to lock back to the rear. Don't worry, it may take you a couple tries to get it. You can also go ahead and kind of zhudge your hand, move your hand on the grip if you need to be able to get the force to push up with your thumb right there. So step 1, magazine out. Step 2, 1, 2, 3. Go ahead and lock the slide back to the rear and then visually inspect into the chamber that it's unloaded. So now we know that it is unloaded and safe. So let's get to grip. Firearms are kind of like liquids. They want to flow into any empty space that you allow them. So when the gun is going off and you're shooting and it's bang, 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 the gun is going to move into spaces that you do not have covered. So our goal, and we have 2 goals, and that is to get as high up on the gun as possible and to cover as much of the firearm as possible with our hands. So first step is go ahead and just make a quick L shape with your dominant hand, and you're going to press it all the way up into the back strap here underneath the firearm. Press it all the way up until you get no gap between the underside of the frame and the webbing between your thumb and your hand. So you want no gap in there at all. You'll notice as I pick it up, my finger stays straight and off of the trigger, and then I have 3 fingers underneath the trigger guard that are also pressed as high up into the trigger guard as they can go. Now this is an important fact that a lot of people forget and have trouble with, is this thumb needs to be pointed up. If my thumb is built down here, it's in the way when I go to set my other hand up. So thumb needs to be pointed up. Make an L with your other hand as well. And this is the part of people have trouble with too. You then need to cant your hand down as far as it will go, because you're going to marry it into the empty space there. So you see all this empty space here. What I'm doing is I'm covering that with my sport hand and then pressing into the side of the gun. It's all about equality here. So at this point I've built a pretty good grip. If you'd like to, some people will take their index finger of their sport hand and lock it in on top of their other fingers there. And so you'll get that nice tight grip where this hand here has some pressure to it. For the most part it's pretty relaxed. And then this hand here is providing the majority of the squeeze onto the gun. And so we're treating this as if it's loaded, so I'm pointed in a safe direction. But then when I actually go to pull the trigger, you'll notice I'm not reaching straight in for the trigger. I'm actually up high on the firearm and I'm reaching down into the trigger. Now this knuckle will apply pressure to the gun. My thumb on my support hand will apply pressure from the opposite side. This palm is applying pressure to the gun on this side. This heel of my hand is applying the opposite pressure on the other side. So it all works together to keep things nice and straight. So as you break the trigger, bang, 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 bang. So that's pretty much grip. There's other things you can do when we get into it further as far as stance and things like that are concerned, but that's the basics of how to grip a pistol. Just a quick recap: make the L with your hand, high up on the firearm as possible, fingers straighten off the trigger, 3 fingers underneath also as high as possible. Make the L with your other hand, tilt it down, find the empty spot on the firearm and marry that in there. Wrap your hands around and apply pressure so you're covering the gun as much as possible. And then if you want to, you can take your index finger and tuck it up against the trigger guard for a little extra support. So that's the basics on how to hold a semi-automatic pistol. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please give a like, subscribe, follow, comment. If you disagree with something or have a different method, everyone has their own little way to do it, and it's up to you as the shooter to figure out what works for you. But no point in making it harder on yourself. Anyways, I'm David Belmont with Tech on Target, and I hope to see you guys on the range.